here this evening. Mr. Thompson, are you have a recital to report?
I do.
Please come forward.
So, this will be relatively short. Russ has been on recess, so he's been in throughout the state meeting with constituents, business leaders. He met with the National Guard and different people from Idaho. I guess that would make them constituents. Anyway, so he's back in DC now, so they're not a whole lot there. One of the things that is working on is a geothermal bill where he's going to working to enhance the production of that energy on federal lands. And it doesn't have as much impact for us here because we seem to be in a hot-free void zone, or there's not a lot of hot springs around us, but there are other areas. Well, one of the things that's beneficial to that is back to his theme of trying to utilize federal lands to enhance the lives in the people that surround that area. So in different areas of the country, they can utilize that. Working through these processes helps open up that so we can have more access to the federal lands. I was in a couple of meetings with him, and you know, what was the same thing, his issues there, and then just working with different businesses and constituents to see what the impacts that the federal government has on there and how we can work through those. Another issue that we're working on, which is kind of dear to me, is our management of wildlife, and Russ has been, you know, super active in that and at the banquets, and so we had a setback on that. I felt we lost one of our good fish and game commissioners, and the commissioners act as a kind of a in between the fish and game and the public to help promote sportsmen. So I went through that with him, and we're trying to come up with ways that we can try to help regain that balance that we have with the sportsmen and our wolf issue, and more broadly, you know, our overall management of our game that's here for the people of Idaho. But so that's what I have this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you.
This will be brief. Representative Scott says she's sorry she couldn't attend our meeting tonight. The last 30 days have been very busy, and she's leaving for Boise tomorrow. More meetings.
Louder, please.
Pardon? Louder. Oh, louder? Okay, gosh. So after a fair week in Boundary County and in Bonner County, she attended meetings for the Highways Project, a neighborhood watch group meeting, a health and health and welfare. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. Health and welfare. This meeting, the Freedom Fest last Saturday, and 6 water adjudication meetings within the last week or so. This morning, the executive branch, the lieutenant governor, was in town for a meeting that initially wasn't going to be public, but now it is. It was. And so she attended that. There were about 8 to 10 citizens in attendance as well. And it was regarding regional government efficiency throughout our district. It was very informative, just 1 hour, and I was there. Sage Dixon was there, and so was Jim Woodward, along with Heather. It was informative. No decisions were made, but good input was given by the legislators. The only other thing she has is a reminder that this coming Thursday is the birth certificate gender change hearing, rule hearing in Kootenai County. And it is from 9 to 11 at the Health and Welfare Region 1 office on Iron Way in Coeur d'Alene, and she would like as many people as possible to attend. That's all I have.
Thank you. Okay.
Sage says, good evening, friends. I apologize for once again being absent from our meeting.
Numerous different responsibilities have kept me away the past 2 months, and I regret not being there tonight. I have been invited by one of our District 1 school board members to attend the Idaho School Board Association meeting in Post Falls, and after looking at their proposed resolutions, I felt it was a good opportunity to investigate further what the school districts are thinking. Currently, there are 15 new resolutions, including extending the duration of supplemental levies, restricting the creation of new charter schools, asking the state to fund 50% of new school construction, and opposing legislation that would allow private individuals to carry guns on campus without school board approval. The resolutions last for 2 years, so if they pass, they are promoted legislatively for 2 sessions. Last weekend, I was able to attend a number of different events throughout our district and enjoyed speaking with many different people. It was a great reminder of how truly blessed we are to live in this special part of the state. I thank you for your continuing support of me as your representative. It is an honor and a responsibility I am grateful to have. Lord bless Sage.
Well, I'm going to start out with a good story. I just want to talk about our deputies. The commissioners, thanks for passing the budget, and I've had a chance to meet with all of our staff this week and talk about some of the changes and how the new budget is affecting the operation of our office, and it's been really good. I just want to say, I was at a meeting, a SPIN meeting on, I think it was Tuesday morning, about mental health. And by the way, this is Suicide Prevention Month, and this is something that hits our county tremendously. And I hate to say that we've just had an uptick of suicides in our county, and the coroner's busy, and it's just really good to be involved in counseling and being a part of the solution of suicide prevention. But I was at this meeting, and a man came up to me and said, "You know, Sheriff, I just want to thank you about how good your staff is in the jail." They went in to go get fingerprints, and they got talking about getting a regular concealed weapons. It's always about guns with me, but anyway, about getting a concealed weapon, and they asked, "Well, do you have it enhanced?" And he said, "No." He says, "Well, let me take them, go in there and apply for your enhanced, because it's a better one, and then save these fingerprints and come back." But my staff is really good at giving good advice. They're always there. They're doing a good job, and I can never say too many good things about them. So anyway, thank you for that. I just want to say that this summer has been incredible. You know, we talk about the population explosion here, and I came here 21 years ago. Population was minuscule, and it's hard to believe that this summer our population goes from 41,000 to over 165,000, and that up at Priest Lake we have 35,000 people that inhabit Coolin and all those golf courses in that area, and it's the same amount of police officers that are handling the calls for service as they are in the wintertime, and the calls for service have not really gone down even in the wintertime. But a lot of good things happening. We're glad that the people that visit here have finally gone, and we can see the reduction in traffic, and we can get our county back. But I won't steal anybody's thunder, but I'm really happy we have a couple of candidates for this one for the City Council of Sandpoint, and we have a great mayoral candidate that's going to be here. And just looking forward to their introduction, and the prosecutor who's going to speak after me probably has some great news about a case and resolution, and hands off to the prosecutor because they are handling an incredible amount of cases. Our detectives, for instance, are getting 2 to 3 new sex cases a week, adding on to their case file. So everyone's working hard to do a good job and keep this community safe. So thank you.
May I ask a question? Fast question. You mentioned the suicide prevention. Do you find that's being the numbers are more towards the younger people? I've heard that. That's why I'm asking.
No. When you say younger, no. We haven't seen an increase in the teenagers from high school since last year. We haven't seen that, but young adults and older people in the last couple of weeks, last 3 weeks, 51-year-old, 65-year-old, 25 years. I mean, it's just a big spectrum of people that are doing that.
Thank you.
All right, so Sheriff alluded earlier, today we had a really good thing happen in court. We've been dealing with lots of major cases, including homicides. Today was a 2004 homicide from Priest River. We got the maximum sentence from our district judge, so that was a really good thing. We're also in the process right now dealing with a 1987 cold case homicide from the city of Sandpoint. And those of you who've been here for a while probably have heard of that case. So those are difficult cases, but they're very, very rewarding. I think it instills confidence that law enforcement in my office has not just forgotten about the victims, but yet we continue to work on them and eventually bring these people to justice. So I'm very, very happy about it. I can't tell you, it was a really good day. We've had a lot of bad days lately. So we had this one coming. We were very pleased about that. One of the questions that is asked is on the 1987 case, you say, well, DNA has solved that case. Well, why the heck didn't you just send all the DNA evidence you had, Marshall, in before, right? Well, the problem is that our state lab, we have one state lab for DNA. It's in Meridian. It's from the Idaho State Police. That's it. The lab analysts, the scientists, decide what gets tested. Not me, not the cops. Scientists. And maybe that's the right way. I'm not here to criticize the Idaho State Police tonight. I'm just telling you, when you think about it and you think it should be easy to solve these cases with DNA, it's not that easy. If we want to send it out to a private lab, it costs approximately $5,000 per test for evidentiary purposes. And you know, the commissioners are very kind to me, but they're not that kind. They're not that kind. All right, so by and large, we're just very busy. And in the civil world, the big thing on the table, as you probably all know, is the deal with Sandpoint. I don't like being in a lawsuit, even if I called it a friendly lawsuit on the radio. That's truly what I believe it is. I think it's a question of law that needs to be answered. But regardless, I don't really like suing another government entity. I think it's bad business for all of us. It's not what I really wanted to do, but I would like to get an answer to this question. I think we're right on the issue, and so we can move forward, and Sandpoint can move forward, and everybody has a good game plan of knowing what to do and figuring out what the festival is going to do. So that's the reason why that I signed on to that lawsuit. Thank you.
Question. Just a quick one. I know you can't talk about any specifics of any case, but there is public knowledge. Can you let this body know publicly at least if there are any cases filed against any of our commissioners?
No, there are no criminal cases against any commissioners.
I didn't say criminal.
Civil cases?
Yes.
I'm not sure what you're getting at. I really
I
not.
just want to know if you're aware of any cases.
Oh, yeah, we do have civil cases.
So what has been filed against what commissioners? Can you just let us know?
It's not in their private capacities. It's in their capacities as
It's
commissioners.
public knowledge, isn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, we have the Verbetta Road dispute. We probably have a number of other civil cases right now where we're defendants.
You
in
can't
court.
tell us what they are.
I can't off the top of my head. No, it's been a long day.
Okay, thank you.
And it's been a good day too, so don't take that away from me. Michael?
On the civil suit with the city and the Memorial Field, will your office prosecute that case?
I've signed on to it. We've also enlisted the help of George on that one as well, Devlier.
So you'll be bringing assets to help defend that, help prosecute it?
We absolutely will, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, and again, and you know, I don't know if many of you heard the radio, and I don't want to go over, I know I probably am, but hopefully this is not going to cost a lot of money, because this is taxpayers from both sides, obviously, Bonner County and City of Sandpoint.
Right.
We don't want to see that.
Mr. Rose?
Yes, Madam Chair, could the prosecutor identify what written authority allows the Office of County Prosecutor to transfer decision-making abilities to Kootenai County for their county? What written authority does that?
Do you want to take that up at the time of the resolution?
Yeah,
Madam Chair?
let's discuss that when we're discussing Mr. Rose's resolution.
That resolution is going to be pulled, so I think the question is legitimate.
I didn't know that, but I'm always the last to know.
Okay. If it's gonna be pulled, then, yeah.
Okay, And Mr. Rose, I'd be happy to talk to you about this privately too. But there's a lot of things in that resolution. I realize it's not going forward, but there's criminal issues and then there's civil issues, and the two are very, very distinct under Idaho law. You're right. If we file a case, let's say the criminal case, and it goes to court, there is a petition before the district court for a special prosecutor. But for advice, that's not necessary.
So how do we have accountability to the county prosecutor if he's farming that decision out to another county?
Right, and I think that you still do, I'm still accountable for it, regardless of whether I get advice from somebody else or not. I'm still accountable for that. On the hospital district issue, the big meat of it, a few of the legislatures wrote me a letter back in January asking me to look into allegations of crimes by the hospital district. I'm the one who signed off on that, so. I mean, the big political accountability.
Are there no crimes that were witnessed because there were plenty that were identified by lawyers?
I understand what you're
So
saying.
are you saying that there are no crimes, or are you just watching them?
They're not prosecutable crimes, no. Absolutely not. And I actually have prosecuted racketeering cases here in Bonner County, successfully prosecuted racketeering cases. Typically, when you deal with crimes of that nature, people are actually getting money themselves.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll just be brief because we have a long meeting ahead, but I just want to let you guys know the hearing for September 11th was postponed. I did a little more research, and Bill Litzinger had me on his radio show. I kind of had a discussion with the Bonner County Planning Director about my objections with the amendment. And I did a little more research since the last meeting, and I found that it violated state and county code. And it also, I read the area city impact agreement that the city has with the county, and it is a violation of that agreement as well. So that's been postponed. I'll let you guys know if it pops up again. I don't know how they can do it legally, but I'll let you know. The other thing that came up was a GIS resolution, and I didn't get a chance to talk to the clerk today. She went to the meeting where the resolution was passed, and there's going to be a $65 fee, and I'm not sure if it's for new, and maybe one of the commissioners can respond to this, but I'm not sure if it's for new addresses, if they're readdressing everybody in the county, or if it's for additional addresses on existing properties like accessory dwelling units. But it gives an unelected official the authority to waive these fees. So you can have a friends and family discount. And that was kind of one of our big objections to it. But other than that, that's all I have.
Madam Chair, if I might help out?
Yes, sir.
Sure. So what this is that for years, all the property tax owners have been subsidizing new addressing, the cost for new addressing. With everything we've done in planning, we felt it's unfair for property owners to subsidize some new person coming in and wanting to build a home and needing an address. So what we've done is we've instituted fees that are the cost to process this, to put it into our GIS system and make it part of next generation 911, which is coming at us in a couple of years. So that's the charge. It is for new. We're not readdressing wholly, but there are some cities that have some issues that don't comply with Next Gen 911, and they will have to readdress. However, we are there's not going to be a charge for that. We put the burden back on the cities to get their addressing together and get it to us. We're not going to do it for them. They're big kids, and they should know what they're doing. And that's kind of the ball as far as that goes. As far as discretion goes, as most people know, not everything ends up being black and white. Since 2008, the planning director has had the ability to use discretion. It's in our ordinance to make certain decisions. There's no friends and family discounts. In fact, one of our big pushes is we treat everyone the same, either equally good or equally poor, however you want to look at it. But that's, no, this is just to be able to look at those oddball things, and what I call it the 1 or 2%. 98% of these things are going to blow right through, no problem. They'll all be the same. Every now and then you have those 1 or 2% that are a little oddball, and so that's where that discretion comes in.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, so I think that still it should be approved by the board, because we won't know who gets to have their fees waived and who doesn't. So we are subsidizing other people's addressing.
Thank you.
And they're still in the ability for appeal.
Okay, hospital district, Mr. Rose.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
A published notice of the August 20th budget hearing was approved and published 10 days prior to the August 20th meeting. I assume that you all received that public notice and attended the meeting, outlining how much they were going to take from you in taxes. I wasn't able to make it, so I'll find out more next month. POHD has declared that one OBGYN attending only once a week in Bonners Ferry and having a high patient schedule on that day, on that one day, that POHD is operating at a profit while up in Bonners Ferry. The minutes make no comment to a visiting RN along with that OBGYN doctor, but claim that their presence makes them eligible for tuition reimbursement. This practice violates Idaho Code 391318, which states, quote, allows hospital districts to acquire, construct, improve, and maintain public hospitals or medical clinics, public medical clinics, within the district for the necessary care and treatment of persons requiring medical services. And further is referenced in the agreement, the 2019 agreement, the fraud agreement, paragraph 4.1, that trustees shall comply with statutory duties applicable to such hospital district board members as set forth in Idaho Code 391318. So I need to repeat what 391318 is? In-county expenditures, not out of county. At the September 24th, 2019 meeting, there will be a second month of discussion about a new POHD board member. It is to replace board member Woodward, who is now working in Washington State at the time of our Tuesday morning meetings. The process identified by code is for the current board members to appoint the replacement by affirmative vote. That's all I have. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
I don't have much to say, not much happened at the last meeting. I guess it's all gonna happen this Wednesday when those 15 resolutions are brought up to be voted on at the school board meeting in West Bonner County. So if you have time, go on the website, see what they are, because if they're gonna be discussed on tomorrow night, they'll have to post them to the website with the agenda. Then you can make a 2-minute comment if you show up. Basically, all they talked about last month was goals and ISATs and percentages and proficiencies and how can a school board set goals. Apparently, they approved the PLCs where teachers get together and plan how to successfully teach the approved curriculum. If I understand it correctly, that only 30% of the graduating seniors are meeting the benchmarks, and that the state rate of graduation is 80%, and Priest River High School runs between 68 and 80% as far as graduating. The newspaper reported that of a few days before the cutoff for the November school board trustee election, only one person, Bruce Hollett, had registered, so I don't know how that stands either, but we're past that time, so. I don't know if anybody knows anything that I don't know that can add to this. Yeah.
And on their strategic plan, the data they had is that between the last 2 years, it's gone down minus 15% for students pursuing post-secondary education. So,
And that's what the meeting was on Monday. It wasn't about the $16 million. Okay, well, that's encouraging. So that's all I have. Yes.
Are there any figures indicating whether some of those students simply pursued vocational opportunities like plumbing and the kind of things that we actually need and not gender studies?
You know, I don't know because I didn't go to Monday's meeting. That was yesterday. They were just talking, you know, and so I don't know, but I don't know if they're going to mention any of that tomorrow night or not.
I would expect that that's probably some of the figures.
Yeah.
So, post-secondary, not going on to college, all post-secondary, which includes vocational.
Thank you.
Been in contact with my colleagues down in Coeur d'Alene. How many people in here are familiar with Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030 out of the UN? Non-governmental agency has moved into Coeur d'Alene. They're gonna go full bore with this thing. Those regionalization meetings are still going on here, right? So you can expect in the near future the things that they're gonna try and bring this out of the city of Sandpoint Planning Department and bring it back to the county level. So everybody needs to keep their eye on this. They're pretty upset about it in this non-governmental agency down in Coeur d'Alene, but there was a big UN conference down in Salt Lake City, and somehow this is tied in to the woman who comes up from Salt Lake City and gives these regional classes up here. So you better keep an eye on this because this is not going to go away. You know, there are other things, and also there was the big brouhaha, what was that, 2-3 years ago, bringing in the refugees from the Middle East. They're here. They brought them in. You haven't seen, I've seen them personally. I don't know where they're keeping them, but they're here. So, and the game plan is to bring in 75 families and then distribute them throughout the county. So you might, I've seen them with my own eyes. You know, they were brought in at dusk in an 18-wheeler tractor trailer. And then they'll lay low till they get their numbers. At the Freedom Festival, I had 4 individuals come up to me and talk to me at the table. They have just moved here from Minnesota. They had to leave because they came in, they redistricted all of St. Paul, Minneapolis, and they had to get out of there. That's how bad it is. So once they do their 1%, their 3%, their 5%, keep an eye on this because they want them here, and they have moved them in here. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Cleveland. Yeah, just the only question is who pays for these 75 families?
They were brought in by, federal government pays for them. They were brought in by the churches, right? Free housing, free food stamps, free everything, refugee status. I know Trump is now coming out with an executive order where the county can refuse to take any refugees. This will be a good thing. But they were moved in. They were moved in, I don't know how many, but, you know, they come in under the radar. And they're good. I know they're down in Coeur d'Alene. They're down and talking to other people down there, and this is the game plan. You know, there was a big stink about it to keep them out and everything like that, but it took a while, but they brought them in under the radar, and they are here. And you won't see them till the numbers start to get up in their favor. And then they will move into elected offices. That was one of the reasons why the mayor of Sandpoint wanted that diversity training.
Yep.
Because he was going to hire them on the city payroll. That's all I have. I wish I had better news.
Thank you. So there was a Common Core presentation from the Idaho State Department of Education. And it was heart-wrenching to listen to the parents of students that were tormented with the Common Core. And there was 27 presenters that spoke out against Common Core. There was only 3 actual public school teachers that were in favor of it. The 27 were diverse from state boards, from school boards to teachers to parents. Anyway, afterwards we talked to one of the officials and they said, we really don't understand that the school boards have local control. And the problem is the school boards, a lot of them, they have full-time jobs or for whatever reason, they don't seem to have the time to look at individual curriculum to make sure that the standards are being met, because by state law they need to have the standards that the state passes. So instead, they take from the Common Core list of curriculum that the state puts out. It's a matter of saving time, because if someone says, this is really good curriculum, you should give it a try, they'd have to go through all the standards, make sure, if it's not on that list, that it corresponds. So actually, that doesn't happen. So local boards, in a sense, don't have control. We have 3 good candidates that will be running in the school boards for Westmoreland County School District, and so we're pretty happy about that. Thank you.
I assume that the state constitution, Article 3, Section 1, Paragraph 3, which allows for the initiative petition, was instituted by liberals way back when to be used for nefarious purposes today. Or was it good, honest, deliberative reasoning having its roots in liberty, perhaps against tyrannical or tone-deaf legislatures? The initiative petition process is equally open to conservatives who are not being heard by the legislature. Perhaps a motivated anti-abortion petition could be waged by pro-life organizations, or perhaps they want to just hope and pray for a sufficient number of legislators to be elected to get their cause made law. The process is not flawed. Supporting the initiative petition process embodied within the Idaho Constitution is not the problem. Supporting the Constitution is not the problem. If the initiative process is being taken advantage of on the issues, then it is the responsibility and the duty of the opposition to fully confront via their soapboxes, letters to the editor, and organizational advertisements to persuade the public of the unpleasantness of the petition issue. Defeat of bad initiative petitions is obtainable, but requires effort, public display, and leadership. If such legislators are unwilling to engage to defeat bad initiative petitions, then it is they who might be the problem, not the parameters of the process. I would like my friend, Ms. Ahrens, to further explain her Facebook post by identifying, if any, which North Idaho Republicans are supporting Reclaim Idaho, as I fear it may be me, or any one of us who understands the difference
Mr. Rose?
between the process and the issue.
No, this is getting personal. Thank you.
It's not personal.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, I read an interesting article from a conservative website talking about how the liberals had been taking the pedal to us, I guess, as conservatives. You know, that things that everybody accepts, at least I accept it, and I think probably most of you do, it's just normal, obvious, good behavior, and actual facts are now considered subversive. I see they're now calling for the National Rifle Association to be called a terrorist organization. Okay? That means they want to declare most of us in here as terrorists because we own guns and we know how to use them. That makes us bad people. If you believe in the normal things that we were brought up with in the United States of America, for example, that our European ancestors actually turned a sparsely populated continent into the greatest country in the world, you're considered a bad person now for saying that, okay? Well, we need, as conservatives, to pull together and recognize that when somebody says something stupid, you have to tell them they're wrong. When that young fellow was going around, he was a very dedicated and a bright young fellow, but misguided, about the $15 minimum wage for Idaho, okay? He didn't care about the people that were going to be put out of work by that. He didn't care about the people that are on the margin, that, you know, they can actually make it if they have a minimum wage job now, but if they're excluded from the workforce because they're no longer considered employable, he didn't care about them. All he cared was that everybody be getting paid more. You know, doesn't that sound great? Well, you know, that's not how economic works. That's not how economics works. And what I'm getting at is, and I will digest the best parts of this article. I'll ask our secretary to forward them to you via email so that you can see the points that we really do agree on, I think. And we need to hang together, or as Ben Franklin said, we're all going to hang separately.
Camp.
Yeah, Bob Camp, Humbert Precinct. I don't know if you, a week ago Sunday in the paper, there was two things. On page 2, there was an obituary for a Skylar Borch, a little baby that was born, lived 3 hours, and the choice of that family to love and to cherish that little baby. They found out in the pregnancy that he had some difficulties, hereditary difficulties, that he wouldn't live when he was born. But they chose life. And they loved that baby, and that baby knew love, and it was cherished. On page 8 of that newspaper, there was an article on abortion. And there was a mother there that had the same diagnosis when she was pregnant. And she chose to abort that baby. And that baby knew fear and the horrible death of abortion. And just the two contrasts, it was just remarkable. So, Life Care, Life Choices Pregnancy Center is having a fundraiser. Is it this Saturday or something?
October 5th.
October 5th. And we should all attend that and support that. So, God bless.